the phrases that are said, like an easy example would be, if somebody's looking for a job and they keep saying, well, the economy's bad, nobody's hiring, there's no job there, right? Then they end up experiencing that, right? So with everything that's been going on, I've really been asking questions of like, well, I wonder how this can turn out, and let's see what's available. And, so I've been taking care of this entire time. There's restrictions here. Well, 6 miles away, life is great. So, so I've been able to, like, if this is what I want to create, the universe always shows me where it's available. But if we focus so much on the problem, we miss the potential.
Absolute truth.
Yeah. So with his books, though, and the rereading of it, like I said, I've been asking questions of, what's available. I wonder how this can turn out. But I never really linked that the coincidences that show up in life are based off a question that I'm asking.
Right.
So when I reread his books, I started really being present to not just those questions of like, how can it get better, but like, what am I actually asking for?
Yeah.
And so like an easy example of this is just Friday of last week, there was a dog I used to care for where I asked out loud, like, I wonder what happened to her. And then I just let it go. Well, Saturday, in a different state, in a very small bar atmosphere, I bump into her owners who had moved. They showed up at the exact time. They told me, unfortunately, she had passed away. She was over 15 years old, but it was like, there's the universe. There was my question, right? Literally the day before. Yeah. I wonder how this dog is. I haven't heard anything from them. And like I said, not the same state that we live in, not like this is my second time at this establishment. So it was like, it's not common, like it shouldn't have occurred, but that's how the universe works. Yeah. So reading his books, I'm just really being present to what is the question I'm asking so that I really pay attention to it, for when those coincidences show up.
Yeah, that. I just like to unpack that a little bit, because I think there are so many little elements there, because even like when you thought about that dog, I bet you thought you had that question, I wonder how he is. But I bet you there was like the emotions of and feelings of gratitude and love and all of that you shared with that animal, let alone if you had a relationship with the owners, that with that animal. So you have all of those elements. I was reading some stuff by Greg Braden, and then I have read a bit of the Gospel of Thomas that was discovered, I don't know, maybe the 40s or something like that. And there are elements of creation in there, and it always is with gratitude, with and it is so, knowing that and letting it go, and allowing the universe to deliver as well. And also one more little thread of knowing that you're actually asking for you. Like what you're asking is something for you, not for anyone else. Because we can go, I want $1 million, man. Do you really want $1 million? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to create $1 million? And I don't mean you have to slave and do all that, but are you willing to do whatever it's going to take to get that? Or really, would you be happy with a couple of $100,000 in the house?
Yeah.
That thing. Talk a little about your perspective on that.
Yeah, no, it's so spot on, because a lot of times I think where we muck things up is we do become attached to the outcome, right? Our mind, I call it the monkey mind, decides that this person or this job is going to be the key to giving me the happiness, the abundance, whatever it is that I'm actually asking for. So we're trying to answer our own question by being attached to a specific person, place, thing, right? Mike Dooley calls them the cursed house of creation, instead of just, and this example with the dog is brilliant, because I didn't have an attachment to it. There was no, I had to find out. It really was like, I thought of it, and I don't have, the owner's contact information. So it wasn't even like I reached out. It was just this fleeting, like, oh, she's so sweet. Just like you said, the gratitude. I knew she was older. So I knew that it might be the time that, she crossed over. And I just didn't think about it again. I didn't try to coordinate, let me find out where her owners are so I can hang out and bump into them by accident, like I didn't try to force any of that, right? And so I think a lot of times if we're, asking for things, either like you said, we're not really asking for ourselves, or we aren't actually tuning into what we want. We're deciding what a person or situation or something is going to provide.
Yeah. Rather than we have to have it within, like we have to have those to be able to receive it on the outside, like it's, and because I think that comes with, there's that thing with, they say, oh, so many people, will win lotto and then have nothing, because it's just not resonating. Like, to have it is not resonating. I know I've done it a million times over, created big amounts of money, and then I don't have any, like that seesaw or roller coaster of it, and not having a stable home, which was partly by choice as well, wanting to move around, but there was an element of uncomfortability and unhappiness in there as well. It's really, really interesting when you're willing to hang on a minute, what is it that me and my body really, really are asking for? I think this is, part of the gift in that, and then the following of the synchronicities, because you must have been, like, to go into that pub in that moment, in that time. Oh, you are frozen. Is it you frozen, or is it me frozen? Oh, Zoom kicked you out. We'll just have some elevator music here while we're waiting for the beautiful Victoria to come back. The magic of technology, yeah? And the magic of not getting head up about it as well, because there is no point. That's another thing, with that presence, what Victoria's talking about with sense reading and being present with questions she asked. Everything keeps coming back to being present. Yeah, being present with our bodies, our spirit, being, mind, the cosmos, source, and connecting in. And just while we're waiting for her to return, a really, really great way to do this, and I is connecting with the body. So, like, hand over heart, and breathe. Stop all the frenetic running. Woohoo! Here she is. Yeah. So that connecting with the body, the breath, the stopping the mind from running at 1,000 miles an hour and just coming in. And when you focus on your breath, this helps you to actually still the mind a bit, or to be able to allow those thoughts to just roll on through, and you come, to that place of presence. That, and being grateful, like having that energy of gratitude really resonating through your whole body and practicing gratitude as much as you can, that is huge. Yeah. Because when you're in gratitude, you can't be in judgment. You can't be in separation. Like the next time you're pissed off with your partner or someone you're working with or a friend, actually stop yourself and breathe, go to gratitude and watch how you can no longer stay pissed off with them. Yeah. It's incredibly powerful. And what a space when we get to that space of presence, and then we ask a question, and then we're willing to listen and receive, you know, the gifts of the universe as they come to you to give you either the information or the experience or the connections that are required. Yeah. Very powerful. Do we have you back, Victoria? Oh, she's coming in on a different stream. We've got her on two. We've got double Victorias. Oh. Is it something to do with your connection? Won't connect to audio. We might stop on this broadcast on YouTube right now and see if we can sort out, because that was some good info, some tools to go with, and we will both be back together. Mark my words. Okay, I'm resuming. Okay, here we are with Victoria Longo. And your dog's name, we haven't met him yet.
Oh, this is Buster. Say hi, Buster.
Buster, you're beautiful. Oh, yeah, I'll just get a bit more in shot.
Yeah, everybody wants to see you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm caring for him for a few days, so he's a good boy.
He's beautiful.
How lucky am I?
Yes, totally. Oh my God, all of that soft fluffy.
Yes.
So we're on part two, because technology did what technology does at times. And we have been talking about the Celestine prophecy and the insight. You'd spoken about the synchronicities of asking how a dog that you'd once looked after and had a connection with, wondering how he was, and then the owners turning up. I went through a process of getting present, hand over heart, breath, stop the freneticness, focus on your breath, go to gratitude, great space then to ask questions and just be. And also to get out of being pissed off with people or situations. Because let's face it, Victoria, in these times, my God, you live in New York. Whoa, through some of those lockdowns, blah, 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 some of the insanity. And what's going on. If you're someone who goes beyond CNN or the mainstream and you start to delve and you see, and I'm not even talking about what people refer to as conspiracy theory. I am just talking about even news broadcasts from other countries, little snippets in science, magazines, in medical journals, in all sorts of areas. If you're someone who starts to look beyond what's being fed to you, whoa, it's crazy. It's insane. So, Victoria, I know that you know a bit.
Yes.
So what do you do with that? How do you navigate in these times?
Oh, well, so there's a few things from that I would love to like unpack, because there is, I think the first thing is, I have a very strong faith. I used to want to be a priest. I was told,
Wow.
you know, you're Catholic, you can't do that. And I was baptized Catholic, had my Holy Communion, confirmed Lutheran, taught Sunday school. So I came from like a really strong faith, but I moved away from organized religion the way a lot of people have, because there is a lot of corruption, not so good things within organized religion. And then if you go globally to like big picture of organized religion, way back when, it was started through fear-based control, right? So like way back, you know, when it was first implemented, it was a way to control the masses. So you have all of these things that have been taught. And so the older I got, I also started questioning some of those things. So I realized some of what the church taught came from that fear-based area. And like you were saying about earlier, the Gospel of Thomas, like there's a lot about our own ability to create and our own, you know, law of attraction and things like that within the Bible itself. That's just been, you know, so I have a very, very strong faith in God, universe, source, whatever name you want to call it, to always look out for me, always have my back, right? And the way that I communicate with this, you know, God source is through my intuition, right? That's where we follow to have those coincidences, right? So that's where I really have been holding my line, is in what I know in my gut. Now, a lot of people don't have that. They haven't been taught about their intuition. They've been taught to trust these people and these institutions, and they're for our own good. And so they've really disconnected themselves. And I think without having faith in a higher power, that faith has been put in man, like humans.
Yeah.
So that worship of like, it has been misplaced. And again, if you go big picture, then you have to look at the history of how some of these things, and it's very well documented, like, let's just take food, for example, right? It's very well known that we're not a healthy nation in the United States. You know, so I'm just going to speak from my experience here. We're not healthy. We have a high infant mortality rate, and you know, for one of the most developed countries in the world, we still have a high infant mortality. So these are very common, you know, facts that can be easily verified anywhere. If you look at like food alone and how certain toxic substances have been approved for use as additives, and they don't have to, companies don't have to tell you what these things are, right? They can just put them in the food, and then we consume them, trusting, putting our faith in these companies to do right by us. And so I can see how a lot of people, and again, going back to fear-based manipulation, it's one of the oldest tricks in the book. So if you don't have that connection to source, if you don't have that, you know, strong faith in something, then it will be misplaced, and you will live in an unhealthy way, right? And that can be mentally, physically, you know, all kinds of ways. So for me in these times, you know, I've been completely willing to walk away from the city, from the life I've created. Like that's that attachment. I know what I'm asking for, right? I know what experiences I'm asking to create for myself. And I've still been able to have them here in the city during the strictest lockdowns. No, there was a time where I really put my nose to the book, so to speak, with my business, because I was like, why not? So, there wasn't much open, but, we did get out there. We did get, camping. We did visit smaller towns and places we never would have. And that was a very eye-opening experience for me, coming from this very restricted place in 2020 where you really couldn't do anything, and then going to somewhere that was completely unrestricted. And that's where I started questioning, so I've just continued asking for the experiences I want. I want to, whether it's fun or joy, and then I allow the universe, God, source, to deliver those to me and act. So that's how I've navigated my space here.
Yeah. It's really interesting. We're a bit sisters, I think, because I too was raised Catholic, and then it was a series of religions, and resulting in I started doing drugs when I was 13. I was so disillusioned with everything. And then I think I was 18, I became a born again Christian, because I went and I was staying with my family, and they had all got into that. And I still remember, I was just so, please give me the Waltons. I don't know if you remember that TV program from the States. Good night, Mary Ellen. Good night.
Yes.
I'm like, I just want this. I didn't have that kind of upbringing. And I had some great things, but I had some really horrific abuse stuff and all of that. And honestly, please give me that. And then when I got into that, I just saw all the cracks and the judgment and the projection. So that didn't last either. I had to, and I went back to drugs because that was more fun and numbing, able to numb a bit, but it didn't really. But, that was the thing inside there. And through a lot of different modalities I explored, and philosophies and things, and one in particular, he couldn't even say the word God or love. Love was derided and stuff like that. So when I got myself out of that, it was like, hang on a minute, I have got to get to this space of me. And this is the rest of my life. Obviously, I'm going to be doing this. But that expansion of going, you know what? I tend to be a God source universe. I don't hold the view, as some do, of God being a man and a father. And in fact, actually, another thing I discovered, and I must actually do a recording and put it on YouTube, was a translation of the Our Father prayer from Aramaic that is so different to the Our Father prayer that is said. That is so much more encompassing. I don't know whether you've seen it or not. It's absolutely beautiful and begins with, "O Bertha, Father, Mother."
Wow.
It includes the earth. And it's really, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I'll make sure I send it to you and post it, because it really is stunning. And just so much broader. And when I went okay, what do I want? What resonates with me? Well, I can now say the word God. I'm not offended by it. I'm not rejecting it. I'm not in resistance to it. And I say the others because I will not be constrained,
Yes.
And I wrote a piece about, and I will say love. And I do say, I love chocolate. But that is a different love to unconditional love. And I have moments of unconditional love. But that's a big call, unconditional love. That's
Yes.
that's huge, you know, and so that is, you know, that's a work in progress, but it is about that finding what resonates for ourselves, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and I've had a similar journey like you, where I didn't use God. I was mad at, like, I hated the church, and it was so bastardized that I didn't even want to say God. And it's through this journey of exploration. And there was actually a few books I read about the secrets of the Bible and Jesus, and how it is based in, you know, like, it even goes back to, like, the Polynesians, the symbols that they use, like, it was all there all along. But, you know, as I mentioned before, organized religion was really started to control, you know, during the time, it was probably a necessary, you know, solution, right? Because we didn't have the consciousness to really explore beyond, like, there's mayhem and murder, so let's use God to get people to act and have civilization, right? And this is why, you know, going back to the Celestine books, I love that, because he looks at that global view and how history has continued evolving. Like he does, in the book that I'm reading now by him, which is, I think it's Living the Celestine Vision, something like that. He actually breaks down, like, the 50s were this, the 60s were this, the 70s are now this. So it's been fascinating looking at that from that perspective as well.
Yeah. Actually, that'd be interesting if we do something and you talk about those different phases there. That'd be an interesting discussion for sure. It's really, it goes with, you know, how I'm wanting to do this series of everyday people, everyday experts. You know, it's that knowing and unleashing that and creating a forum for people to be speaking that publicly, because there is something about being willing to speak it out loud. Oh gosh, we could go so many places.
I know.
My mind is just going.
No,
Where would you like to go now? Where would you like to go now? You are my guest on here.
Well, I think really just, you know, if I can share one thing with people, it would be for them to acknowledge that they are, whether they call it psychic, intuitive, everybody has the ability. We're just taught from childhood, the programming is use your head to figure it out, right? Think it through, which is a very limiting perspective. And this is why I think, you know, we can justify and excuse and rationalize with the monkey mind, right? But it's our gut that tells us when something's not right. And so for people to start, you know, I would love for people to start, again, I don't care what you call it, psychic, intuitive, gut feeling, hunch, that knowing that you have that connects you to source, creator, God, that higher power that exists within all of us and all around us. And just when that little voice, you know, there's that little like, oh, that's interesting, you know, like it contradicts what your head is saying, or, you know, what you hear, pay attention to that. That's where you're going to find the ease.
And also, you know, like to get over having to get it right. You know, like because that little voice, like even I've been practicing this stuff for years, and there are still times where that voice will be faint. And there is something where I am unwilling to allow that there, but there's still a slight awareness of something not being quite right. I may even verbalize. You know, it might be meeting someone, and it doesn't mean that they're evil. It just means they're not a contribution to me.
Yes.
That's it. That, you know, we need to, all of that. Who are the people that will lift you up as you rise up, and you can lift up with you, you know? And that thing of, even after years and years of practicing, I still blow it. So it's also being willing to go, oh man, I have that feeling. I bloody knew that, you know, I knew that was not going to work out. I knew that you know, that going to the barbecue was going to be a waste of time and not a good experience, and I'd feel like crap afterwards. Or, you know, it can be really simple things. Yep. That can be social stuff. It can be, and it can be really big things like purchasing property or a partner or whatever that is, but without going into a head trip. Because I think that's what's lovely about including all the terms for it, and gut feeling, because you have a brain in the heart, you have a brain in the gut, you have neurons. Your body is wired to actually create with you, to co-create the greatest reality for you, the greatest experiences, you know, and this connecting with our body, to me, is vital. You know, there's people that talk a lot about, you know, we're raising the vibration and we're going 5D and we're becoming light bodies. And I'm not saying that we're not. We're in a body. We've chosen embodiment. You know, like we're here on an adventure, on a journey. The more that you connect, in my experience, because I've been someone who has really disconnected from my body and abused my body greatly, and it's an ongoing journey, the deeper the connection. Yeah. You know, and we are so isolated. We've just recently connected with married elders and stuff and learning medicine and things, and that's great. But we live this really recluse life, which I've never done in my life. And it has led to this deepening connection with my body, the power of pleasure, the power of really listening. And so that intuition, you know, that's connected with this body as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And just to, you know, one of the things that you said is brilliant about people not being a contribution. You know, one of the reminders that I've seen throughout the Celestine books that I love is it's easy to allow our ego, our monkey minds, to separate, divide us versus them. And in the books, it just really reminds you that, you know, we're all children of this God source, you know, like we all have that same, it's just our choices put us at different levels of consciousness. So it's just like you said, you know, somebody is not inherently bad. It's just they've had choices that have led to them to live a certain way. So you can choose to have that person in your life. And if you're asking for, you know, let's say, a loving connection with a partner, and you're choosing to be with someone because of reasons, right, that your head tells you they're going to get over it, they've had trauma, they're, you know, everybody does. So you can choose to stay locked in it, or you can choose to change it, right? You can choose to hurt others, or you can choose to be a contribution. So this is where intuition, again, can be that super powerful, because it's just like you said, it's not that there's anybody, you know, necessarily bad or wrong. It's just they're making choices that aren't congruent with what you are actually asking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's incredible how easy that will flow when you do tap into that intuition and you do listen. It's like those people drop away, or it's not hard work to actually not spend time with those people in the same way. You know, it makes life easier. All of this is all about making life easier, no matter what's going on. And it doesn't mean there aren't challenges or pain or things like that, but it's the ease with which you receive everything. And that, to me, is the consciousness adventure. Wonderful. puppy dog has said we're finished now. And
yes, he's gotten very
this
vocal.
has been so cool, Victoria. I hope people enjoy it because I sure have.
Oh, this has been so much fun. I am so glad that we had this opportunity, and I'm so excited that I was your first.
Yeah, me too. And let's visit again, because I think it'll be there's a lot there.
There's a lot to unpack, and like I said, rereading these books has just landed in such a different way this time around, which is why, like, I'm happy to share the, what I'm gaining from it. So yeah, so thank you.
Yeah. So next call, come with a few things that you would like to delve into from the Celestine prophecy journey.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. All right, we're going to hit the stop recording button. Thank you for watching, and we will be back with more.
Thank you.